boys and girls, welcome to my channel. I'm For Classic and welcome to BenchART. So for today what I do have in it is SpongeBob Squared Pants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. Whew, big name. That's what I need, more water to my mouth because this was a really big name. So this game it is using Unreal Engine 4 and it is developed by the Purple Lamp. Purple Lamp was the developers behind some of the games. You know, they actually gave support to Sea of Thieves, but this game was definitely the best project from them, this SpongeBob game. They were also developers of the Guild 3, but like I did told you, I think this is the game where they really nailed it. So let's start with the graphical settings. So I'm playing the game with 720p, I'm using Windows because full screen it isn't really applying to me, and VSync, despite it is disabled, I think it isn't really working because I don't notice any tearing at all, and the game it is locked to 60 frames per second. So looking to the minimum requirements, these guys specify that you need a GTX 760 or an AMD Radeon HD 7870, 4 gigs of RAM, and pretty much a Phantom 2 X4. So not really big requirements aside from the graphics cards, but looking to the performance with the settings that I did try out, and I mean the settings, this game doesn't really offer any setting for you to customize. There is no low, medium or high, so everything it is max settings. What happens really is that at 720p what I got it was an experience between 45 frames per second and 60. 900p it was pretty much the experience overall above 30 frames per second. And well, 1080p it was overall at 30s, alright, 30s in frame rate, but unfortunately there were drops everywhere here and there. I think I picked up a nice level to benchmark because if you look at this, there is tons of grass, tons of foliage in here. The graphics are good, and despite you don't get like stuff like screen space reflections on the water or stuff like that, I really think the graphics on this game are actually pretty good. The foliage, like I just told you, looks great. The effects are good enough. But I mean, this is a game for kids, so I think the color vibrance that you can feel in here, the core gameplay, I think it's really great. The targets, people that this game tries to target, it is really good. And actually the performance, it is actually another surprise because despite this game it is running with Unreal Engine 4, and despite the game looks as good as this with these amazing draw distances on the grass and quality, the game it isn't that demanding. And yes, despite we can run at 720p, despite we are running at 720p, the performance it is pretty good. It is not locked 60 frames per second, but it is far away from the 30. And like I did told you, if you go with 900p, you can enjoy a slightly better resolution and your frame rate will still be above 30s. But for this type of games, I always try to achieve as maximum frame rate as possible. It is not really needed, but platforming for me sometimes requires some precision, and I do prefer to have better frame rate. But that's really up to you. It is up to decide. You have the results. Like I did told you, 720p, the experience it is overall above 45 frames per second. 900p it is overall above 30 frames per second with good averages around the 40s. And 1080p, what you get, it is around 30 frames per second with drops. So I don't recommend you to go with 1080p with the MX130 with GDDR5. Whatever, if you have the 2GB version GDDR5 or 4GB version, it is not going to make a difference since the game it is barely using more than 1.4GB of VRAM, as you can see, and it is using 5GB of RAM. But even if you have 4GB of RAM, you won't be having any issue with this game since this game doesn't use that much of RAM. Also, if you have any other CPU than this i7, let's pretend you have an i3 or anything like it, your performance will be just fine. Alright, don't worry about that, the performance will be just fine. But, I mean, now that I have talked a little bit about the performance, what is this game anyway? So, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, like I did told you, it is a remake handled by the Purple Lamp. This is probably the biggest project that they have in hands at the moment, and I think they really nailed it. First of all, I really think that the gameplay it is pretty good. It have a Metrovania feeling into it because you have kind of levels that you can visit like this one, and there are points and stuff that you can access at the moment, and if you can back in here later with a different character or with certain upgrades to your character, you can revisit this level and be able to do stuff that you couldn't do at the beginning of the game. So yeah, this game has some Metrovania into this. Also supports a ton of languages, so this might be very useful, for example, for kids, because this is really the targets that they are trying to have in here. The game, for now, I'm not really sure throughout the rest of the game, but for now at the beginning, the game it is pretty simple. I didn't find any challenging in beating the enemies. So far I thought that sometimes the jumping, for example, on the platforming might be a little bit more tough than killing the robots. But like I told you, this is pretty much just the beginning. I'm not really sure how the game will behave in the future, but for now it seems really too easy. So if you have like small kids in your family, this might be a nice investment for you, because it is pretty great. And despite I never saw too much of SpongeBob aside from the 1 week later, I really think that it is a quite funny game and very well done. And in fact, the reviews say that for themselves. I mean, if you go to Steam, yes, this game it is available on Steam. You can see that the game score by the users are around 97%, so it is overwhelmingly positive. Most of the people are just simply amazed with what these guys ever achieved. And in fact, I think I share the same thoughts. I think that the game, it is just too much well done. I mean, you can play with keyboard and gamepad. Optimization, it is absolutely there. It is not demanding. Yes, I know they lack graphical options though, and apparently VSync doesn't work for me, but I mean, I can't disable VSync. That's what I meant. But apart from that, I think the game it is just amazing, and it runs fine and behaves that it is supposed to. It seems like a very polished game. There is no rough edges aside from that VSync thing. Everything just works as intended. So yeah, it feels amazing. And you know what is the best about this? It is really the price. The price for this game on Steam, it is $29.99. I think it's an awesome price, honestly, for the work that have been done in this game, and how polished it is, and how great it looks, and how good the game plays. In fact, I think it's an awesome investment. I think $29.99, it is a very respectable price. I think they nailed it. Better than that, it would be $19.99, but still $29.99 for this game, it is a very good price. I can get you even a better price at the time of this video. If you go to Greenman Gaming, you can get the game for $26.99, so it's a €3 discount. It is not a really big discount, but if you buy through Greenman Gaming, you can still activate the game on Steam the same way. So you buy through Greenman Gaming and you activate the game on Steam, and you get the game like you have brought on Steam, but with the €3 discount. So I think it's really a nice deal. If you ask me, it's free money. You can save €3 for anything that you want, like for example paying a coffees to some of your friends. Probably not the best idea now with COVID, but that's it. Alright, so I think that's all that I want to talk about SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. Hope you've enjoyed the rest of the video, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
You've just met the Sponginator. Hammer! I get it! button is the most satisfying. Push, 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 push.